Hey guys, so I'm doing a little tutorial video on how to be a successful nanny and how to really make this career work. And I do consider it a career because if you're successful at it and you're really serious about it, it can be beneficial and you can do this as a career and make a lot of money off of it. So I guess the first thing I honestly believe is going to make you successful and make it really work for both you and the family is have a contract. A contract is something that's really, really needed. I mean, I have done families who I've never had a contract and then I got screwed in the end. So basically, what should be in the contract? It needs to have 5 key factors, in my opinion. It needs to have number one, um, it needs to say you are guaranteed this X amount of hours a month or a week, however you want to write it in there, because then this makes sure that the parents can't be all of a sudden they're only paying you now for 10 hours when they guaranteed you 30 in the first place. You can go back to the contract and say, hey, I need more hours to live. And then the second key factor is that I'm getting paid this X amount a month. You always want to say a month because it's more professional, and weekly is fine. You should either get paid every 2 weeks or once a month, but I'll get to that in a second. So yeah, have it in there. I'm guaranteed in the contract. I'm guaranteed this X amount of the minimum amount of hours a week, and then I'm guaranteed we've agreed on this is how much I'm getting paid. In the contract, it should state that they cannot, so this is the third one, they cannot fire you unless they have either a 2-week notice, so they're going to give you 2 weeks to find another job, or they pay you for 2 weeks to let you go, basically. And that just protects you, of course. I mean, if you're a nanny is the one job where you can get dropped like this for no reason because your childcare. So they may lose their job, they get to stay home now, they may retire. I mean, the grandma can move in. Anything can happen where they don't need you anymore, but this protects you so you have 2 weeks of either to find another job or 2 weeks of pay. And then the fourth thing is that have in the contract that you cannot quit unless you give them a 2-week notice. This protects them and that makes you look really professional. And it also kind of gets you motivated to keep the job and, to be professional. I mean, that's the only word they can think. And then the fifth thing is obviously the signature. Make sure you both sign it. Make copies and then keep it there so you both can go and look at the contract. And if you need to ever bring it up or if you need to take legal action, hopefully you don't. Another thing, you know what you should have sorry, I just thought of this. You know what you should have in the contract is how long of a commitment you are making. If you're making a 1 year, a 6 month to 1 year commitment, it needs to be on there. So then you need to renew the contract after, let's say you start in June 2014, you need to renew it June 2015, 16, 17, or whatever. Sometimes people do make 2-year commitments. That's very important that you have that on the contract as well. Okay, another good thing of advice is to be very organized. You need to have paperwork drawn up, typed up. I could personally do it. I could probably put it down on the link of paperwork and the contract. Basically, write down the name of the children, the age, any allergies they have, any behavior problems they have, if they're potty trained or not, things like that. And it sounds so silly to just keep that in a folder somewhere at your house, but you may need to reference to that. When the parents are at work and you want to feed them something, you may need to go, oh, they're allergic to that, or, oh, well, they do have ADD, something like that. That shows that you're organized. You need to have that. You need to know how old they are, stuff like that. It sounds crazy, but it worked for me, and that's really going to make you successful. Another thing, if you're a full-time nanny, basically you're kind of taking on the role of raising someone else's children. So it's good that you have a schedule or a log in their house. So, and that sounds really crazy too. Have a log in their house and be writing down everything you do. So woke Jake up at 6 o'clock, woke Cameron up at 6 o'clock, fed them breakfast. You don't need to put you can just say fed them breakfast, 6:30, Apple Jacks. The parents do want to know what their kids are eating, and that they're eating. And then took Jake to school, took Cameron to the park, fed Cameron lunch, picked Jake up from school, did homework, 30 minutes of TV. If he's not potty trained, you go, I changed him at this time, or we tried to go potty at this time. He went potty in the potty. Then if the parents come home and say, what did you feed him for lunch? You have that log to go back to, or even sometimes parents on Fridays will be like, what did you feed him for lunch on Monday? And then me anyways, I'm always like, Monday. Like I have the worst memory ever. There's no way I'd be able to tell a parent just off the top of my head what I fed their kid for lunch on Monday. So that way I have the log, and it always stays at the parents' house so they can check it too, what I did on Monday. That way you also have consistency. Children respond very well to structure and consistency. If you put on there that you went to Oak Tree Park on Monday, you don't want to go back to Oak Tree Park on Wednesday. Make that something you do every Monday. So that way you can check the log and say, I already did this week. Let's do something different on Wednesday. I think that will help you. A lot of my friends struggle with discipline and kids who are really defiant and don't listen. I'm going to say right now that you're a nanny. They don't have their parents in their life for 6 to 8 hours a day. So of course they're not going to want to listen to you. A lot of them act out because they don't want you there. They rather have mommy and daddy or whatever. So that's to be expected. And my advice is to get their mind off of it. Never discipline, never yell. Yelling is the one thing that me personally, I don't agree with. You don't need to use loud or bad language with a child ever. I also don't agree with physical discipline. If you're a nanny, you shouldn't be doing that anyways, but not to say you can't. I don't agree with it. I like to have an award system. So, which is like a board, yay big, and then you put stars on it, and at the end of the month, if they have so many stars, they get McDonald's or something. That works really well. Timeouts, they're kind of dumb, but if you're a nanny, it's always kind of hard to kind of get them to go in their timeout without yelling, and from experience, but taking away privileges and ignoring. The child is not going to die if they sit there and cry for 10 minutes. You're going to ignore the child until they calm down. They have to be calm and ready to have a conversation. You're going to approach them and say, do you know why I'm disappointed? Never use the word mad. I don't agree with that word. It kind of makes, it's not, I can go into cognitive development and all that, but I'm not. But try to use words like disappointed, upset, sad. A lot of times it works if you say, you hurt my feelings when you did this, because a child knows how it feels to have his feelings hurt or his or her feelings hurt. So I would usually say, do you know I'm disappointed? Yes. Why am I disappointed? Because I didn't clean my room. Okay, well, let's go clean your room together. Or you can give them an option. If you give a child options, it makes them choose the right decision. And that way they're kind of learning on their own to make appropriate decisions. So what do you want to do now? Do you think we should go clean your room together? Or do you think we should sit here and pout? Those are your two options. And then, that was a bad example, and then they choose. I can sit here and pout, or I can go clean my room. That's my advice for discipline. I don't, like I said, yelling just never works. Timeouts are pretty good. Letting the child, just taking away privileges. If the child won't eat their lunch, you're a nanny, you're not their parents, you can't force them to eat. So they won't eat, you're going to say, Jack, do you think you should eat your lunch right now? And so you're full, and we can go to the park. Or do you think that I should throw your lunch away? You're going to be hungry later, and we're not going to get to go to the park, or whatever it is. They make the choice. And a lot of times they are going to make bad choices and you let them choose. Okay, you decided not to eat lunch today. You take their food, you don't have to throw it away. You can probably put it in the fridge. Later, when they get hungry, I'm hungry. Okay, Jack, let's talk about why you're hungry, because you didn't eat your lunch today. I mean, I'm going into way too much detail, but that basically works. Talking things through the kids. If you notice that the kids are doing things like you have free play or whatever, and they're just watching TV all day, I'm a strong believer in television. I'm not one of those parents or one of those nannies who are like, no TV, only 30 minutes of TV time a day. I'm not like that. But sometimes it does get repetitive, and the parents are going to want to see that you're active with the child. So it'd be good to just turn off the TV. They're going to be upset. And just be like, hey, let's go play a card game. Let's go play a board game. Let's go play hide and go seek outside. If you're a nanny, it's not an easy job. You need to be, interacting with those children. A lot of times nannies get paid $15 to $20 an hour, and for what? For what? To sit there and watch TV? No. You need to engage them in a conversation. When you pick them up for school, how did your day go at school today? Who's your best friend? What's your favorite color? Make them like you. Be consistent. What I mean by be consistent is like, if you say 5 minutes of TV and then 5 minutes is up, and then they beg you, please, 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 10 more minutes. No, 5 minutes. That 5 minutes, you just saying no and sticking to your ground, they respect that. Subconsciously, at the time they're going to be mad at you, of course, but subconsciously they're respecting you because you respect yourself enough to not sway, not be a pushover, not be, influenced that easy, because children can walk all over you, they can manipulate you, and you need to be, alert of these things. The last thing I'm going to say is, be very stern with what you charge. There are some families, when they hire you, they say, I can only afford $15 an hour. That's still a lot, but let's say I can only afford $12 an hour. If you usually charge $15, walk away. That shows that you're professional and responsible. And in the long run, it's going to pay off. We need to pay bills. We need to pay bills. We need to live. So if you run across a job and it sounds perfect, and then the parents hit you with, oh, your rate is just kind of too, I would love to hire you, but your rate is too high. Just say, sorry, I have to walk. I have to feed my family. I have to pay bills. I charge X amount a month for a reason. I, for example, live in San Diego. The standard rate for a nanny is, or babysitting, is $12 an hour. Now, there's a lot of people who will pay $8, or just because that's a federal minimum wage, or people who will pay $10. I charge personally $15 because I feel like I'm qualified now. If you're just starting out, if you're a brand new nanny and you're just starting out, I would go research what the standard rate is in your city before you go and charging a whole an arm and a leg. Because if you're just starting, if they're going to hire someone who has no experience, they're not going to pay you top dollar. So I would start off, not minimum wage, but at least a little above it. Unfortunately, and I had to too. When I was first nanny, I was getting paid $10 an hour. Crap wages, but it's the experience, because then you can move on, build your resume, and when you build your resume, you're worth more. It's just that simple. Remind parents, remind families, you get what you pay for. It's just that simple. So, you can look for places like care.com. There's something on the side where it says, in my city, what is the standard rate? And you type it in, how many kids, and then it will come up. They should be paying you $12 an hour. This is what they should be paying you. Also, on care.com, you guys can get an I-9 form if you and the family decide to pay taxes together. Now, I know I said I was going to end the video a second ago, but I just thought of something really, really important. Now, if you guys are not paying taxes, or most of the time it's under the table, you won't be. This is how, if you go to get a car loan, not a home loan, I don't think it'll work, but if you go to get a car loan, or or you're moving into an apartment, and you need to, or a credit card, for example. I have a friend who's in this situation right now, and they say we need two pay stubs, or we need proof of income. You go and get that contract I said in the beginning. That contract states, and it shows right there because it's signed by both parties. It's signed by your employer and the employee, which is you, that you're getting paid this amount a month. So let's say you get $20.50 a month. That's on the contract, and then your employer, so the mom, the dad, the family, writes a letter stating that they are paying you this amount a month. Almost every bank will accept that, guys. Almost every bank, every apartment building that I know of will accept that. That is provable source of income. That's why the contract came in handy. I mean, that's an example anyways. So yeah, that's my little tutorial. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below. Sorry the video was so long, 60 minutes. Yes. But yeah, thanks guys.